I call this meeting of the Tewksbury Conservation Commission to order, July 10th, 2019. First item on the agenda, we're going to table a reorg of the committee till our next meeting, so our new member can be there. Do we have minutes to approve?
No.
No? Okay. So the next item on the agenda is a continued public hearing notice of intent. Joseph Rocha, 44 Leighton Lane, map 79, lot 484, DEP 3051083.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Dick Hugo, filling in for Maureen Harold, who is indisposed this evening. But from what I understand, at the last meeting, it got continued, and what we're proposing is that on the existing dwelling, there's if you look on the second page of the handout that I gave you, there's a photograph of the house. And you can see that there's a 5-foot overhang on the front of the house. It's a colonial style. And I think the previous application had an addition coming out 10 feet or so across the front. And thought that the commission felt that that was probably too much of an imposition. And what we're requesting is for you to take a look at what we're trying to do is pare it back so that it stays under the roof and of what's on the existing dwelling now, just in this location. The addition over to the right is exactly the same as that was shown on the plan that Maureen presented to you last time. So the actual footprint of the building wouldn't be any larger. As a matter of fact, that little small section of roof in the middle would be taken out. So we're hoping that the commission will see that as a compromise, and where we're not extending beyond the footprint of what's there now. That
That's good. Yeah.
You might.
So you're actually going to be pushing the whole face of the house out to like look like a colonial?
Yeah.
Instead of having the
And then
porch?
what'll happen, there'll be an indent where the main door is, so
Yeah.
that we kind of don't have to mess the roof up.
No, I like what you've done. So I don't have any questions. Just we're going to be maintaining the silt sock.
Yes.
As just sort of like maintaining some sort of well, no, you already got lawn area, but sort of like a no disturb area, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, where we show that heavy line, Mr. Chairman, that would be like, the limit of work, just in case siding people and what have you won't go beyond that location. And then, so when actually you see on the photograph there, the grass and everything will still stay the same in that location.
Yep, I get you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm all set. Mr. Holland?
No, I think it looks better. And it's still a full foundation?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good.
I'm good.
Looks good.
All right, great. This is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on this matter? Seeing no one rising. So, let's say we give it a standard order of conditions, right? And the date of the plan is June 25th, 2019. All right, so can I get a motion to approve the plan of June 25th, 2019 and give it a standard order of
I
conditions?
see.
Yep. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Stefania, you want me to give you that full-size one?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Our next item on the agenda, continued from our last meeting, is public hearing, notice of intent, John Fineros, BTGOG LLC. 2131 Main Street, map 96, lot 53, DEP 3051070. The applicant is requesting a continuance to August 14th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
As stated.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, continued from our last hearing, is a public hearing, notice of intent, Richard Montori, Town Manager, 984 Main Street, map and lot 4779, 4780, 4881, and 4893, DEP 3051073. The applicant is requesting a continuance to August 14th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
As stated.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is a continued public hearing, notice of intent for Southern End Realty, 1420 Andover Street, map 39, lot 10, DEP 3051076.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the commission. Just to kind of reassociate ourselves, I know it's been a little while since we last met. And I just wanted to say that we were supposed to have, excuse me, my name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering, representing Southern End Realty. At our last meeting that we had, the commission wanted a couple minor items changed on the plan. More specifically, there was a little bit of pavement area in here, which was in the 25-foot no disturb zone. And we removed that, we're proposing to remove that and revegetate that area. The second thing is the erosion control was against the stone wall. And we moved that directly next to the grading, next to the drive. And then the commission wanted us to go and get everything resolved with the planning board, and then we would come back in to the commission and show you those changes. We had anticipated, one other thing too is the conservation agent, Stefania Gallo, met with Norse Environmental out at the wetlands and reviewed the actual wetland line here. And that wetland line did not change. So we thought we were going to be before the planning board last week. They didn't have a quorum for last week's meeting, so that meeting's now on the 15th. But what I didn't want to not at least bring you up to speed with the changes that were made. And that was, right now we changed the driveway configuration here. We added some details to the detention basin area. And currently, right now, the plans are still going through final review through the engineering department and the Department of Public Works. But at the last meeting that we had with the planning board, we just had a few minor changes per that original review by the town engineer. And I gave all you folks a copy of that response letter that you have also. One of the other things that that came out of the planning board meeting is one of the abutters requested to have some pine trees put on the rear of the property, and we added those pine trees as well.
That's nice.
And the one small change was in order to better improve the drive for a fire truck and for potentially having 2 vehicles pass each other coming in and out of the driveway, we widened the driveway from a 12-foot to a 14-foot driveway. And those are the changes. But the primary change that we discussed was, again, removing that pavement area out of the 25-foot no disturb, all of the drainage is outside that 25-foot no disturb, and moving that erosion line right to the edge of that, the toe of the slope of the grading to the driveway.
Now, is this a public street or is it a private road?
It's going to be a private drive.
So, trash pickup.
Trash pickup will all be privately picked up.
It's privately picked
Yes.
up, so the town is not responsible.
That's my understanding, yeah. But we would coordinate with Board of Health to figure out exactly how that would work out, but that's my understanding.
I mean, is it going to be a dumpster? Is it going to be?
No, there won't be. It would just be their own trash totes, and then they'll have to dispose of the trash accordingly. This house right here probably will bring the trash out to the end of the street, but I'm not sure about these 2 here.
Okay.
I think they do have the right to bring them out to the front, but I'm not exactly sure how the town will want them to do that. But there will be no dumpster.
And they're all on town sewer, correct?
That's correct. In fact, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this existing building is being removed. The one that's there now will be taken down. We don't even know where the septic system is behind this building, but that septic system will also be removed as well, or crushed in place. But there'll be new water service, new sewer service. The homes are going to have subsurface infiltration systems for the roof runoff.
What was the planning board's concern?
We had a lot of discussion with the entrance and making sure it's safe. We've widened the entrance here so that a car can sit here and also a car can come in here, so there wouldn't be a conflict there. We just reestablished some site distance measurements just to make sure it complies with the required site distance requirements. That issue was resolved. They wanted that this existing house originally would park their cars right here. So we're not doing that anymore. We're going to have this small drive come up here with a turnaround so that the cars can be up here, not down on the drive. They wanted this house removed, so we did that. We have a fully compliant drainage system now where that drainage wasn't being treated before. So that's an improvement to the runoff that was currently on this drive going to the wetland that's now being treated.
So in essence, there's only going to be 3 homes on that whole thing?
That's correct. There were
Okay, so
2 originally, and we're going to add 1.
Okay.
We're going to remove a lot of those, there were these knee walls for some greenhouses that were there. We're going to remove all that and clean the place up. There was a significant amount of debris in and around the outside here, which has already been well on its way of cleaning all that stuff as we speak. And then this existing house was really a mess, and they've cleaned that all out and renovated the entire, I'm sure you might have seen it driving by, but they've renovated the inside of that house as well.
Nice.
I know it's kind of early. I know it's kind of early, it's only July. What preparation you got for snow area?
What's that?
Snow area,
Snow storage?
yeah.
Yeah, the snow storage would be along the entire drive, along the side here.
And drainage is gonna go,
Yeah, all the drainage gets picked up with a swale system and goes down to a forebay and a detention basin area here, and then it outlets.
and what all these two back on, pushed up that way.
Here, you have all this area on either side of the driveway here, this green area, and you have all this green area on either side of the drive here. So we have ample snow storage. And the nice thing about this colored plan, you can see all the green. So there is a large amount of green area on the property. And in fact, there's a tree line shown here as well. Most of the development will take place in an area where there are no trees. So all of this tree buffer here will remain undisturbed. All of this tree buffer here will remain undisturbed. And that was something that also came up during the planning board meetings as well, especially with the abutters here.
Right. Mr. Sheehan?
I'm good, Steve.
Mr. Sheehan?
I'm good.
Sir, Mr. Holmes?
I'm all set.
Yep. This is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on this matter? Seeing no one rising. Well, plan looks pretty good to me. I don't know of any unusual conditions that we need to place on it.
I'd like to add one thing, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
The project's still being reviewed by the town engineer and DPW, and I know Mr. Hardeman's here this evening in the back. If you did decide to close the meeting tonight and issue an order of conditions, you could just simply make it a condition to incorporate any of the changes that may take place through the planning board process, which we're essentially towards the end, and we have a planning board meeting on Monday next week.
I would recommend that we do not do that.
I agree.
Because it makes things difficult, because what is in the order of conditions will not match what was approved by the planning board, so.
Yeah, I would be more comfortable having the approval of the town engineer, or the feedback from the town engineer, and the approval of the planning board before we make a decision.
Do you think there are going to be changes?
I do not think there are going to be changes. Mr. Hardeman is here this evening. He's the one specifically reviewing the changes.
Well, if you can wait till August 14th. Otherwise, we could condition it, but it would be at your peril.
I'm okay with that, but we're okay with
I mean,
waiting.
you have to like reopen it or something like
Yes,
that.
we're okay.
It
we're
would
fine.
likely be, it would have to come back for some type of change. And depending on the change, it would be an amended order, a new order.
We're okay. I was here for another matter anyways, so I just figured I'd bring you up to speed. I didn't want to keep continuing.
Yeah. So it's up to, to me, it's, you'd have to, if there were changes, you'd have to come in and amend your order.
Yeah, I'm fine with waiting to the
Yeah.
14th.
Okay, wait till the 14th?
Sure.
All right, okay, so seeing no one rising, seeing no more questions, can I get a motion to continue the matter till August 14th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is where are we? Notice of intent, John Finero, yeah, okay. John Fineros, ACC Realty, 1037 North Street, and 1547, 1553, 1563 Andover Street, Map 39, lots 45 to 48, DEP 3051077. This applicant is requesting a continuance to August 14th. Anyone here to be heard on that matter? No? Okay, good. So we get a motion to
As
continue.
stated.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is a continued public hearing, notice of intent, Andrew Stack, Town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, Engineering Division. Pinnacle Street, map 77, DEP 3051082. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Kevin Hardiman. I'm the town engineer. Here regarding the Meadowbrook Culvert on Pinnacle Street. As you know, we've filed a notice of intent. We were at the previous hearing, and per meetings with DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers, we've decided to make some modifications to the design. We've completed those modifications. And we've resubmitted information to the commission to outline the design itself, how it meets the stream crossing standards to the maximum extent practicable. The major change was we went from a 2 48-inch concrete pipes to one 4-foot by 8-foot concrete box culvert. We looked at the stream crossing standards and went through those. Like I said, we've tried to meet them to the maximum extent practicable. Meadowbrook in this area is some, 40-plus feet wide. Stream crossing standards require you to be 1.2 times that width, which puts us at close to 50 feet, which would be, according to Mass DOT, would be a bridge. I don't think the location merits constructing a bridge. So we've put in the largest box culvert that we can fit. We have some constraints out there. We've got a water line that sits on top of the culverts currently, a gas line that's a few inches above the culvert. We've got a sewer force main from the pump station adjacent to it, which is below the two culverts. And we also have a sewer gravity main, which is kind of the largest constraint, which is a few inches below the culvert. That gravity main cannot be moved without either significant modifications to the pump station, basically rebuilding the whole pump station, and the alternative would be to construct another pump station on the other side of the stream. So those really aren't feasible options. So we are constrained with how we can construct this culvert. The other big issue I know I spoke about at the last meeting was the soils under the culverts. I'll use the engineering term, they're glacial fluvial, which means they're very fine silts. They don't have a large bearing capacity. So in order to create an open bottom culvert, which is the desired design for the stream crossing standards, we'd have to have two large footings, one on either side of the stream, and put some sort of arch or span across that. Because of the sewer and the poor bearing capacity of the soils, it's not a good idea to do that because there's going to be settlement, and with settlement, we'd be impacting that gravity line, and possibly run into a sewer break next to the stream, which we want to avoid at all costs. Another thing we've done since the last meeting is we had a meeting yesterday with, his name was Brian Kelder. He's the stream crossing specialist for the Division of Ecological Restoration. He came out and he walked the site with us, gave us his feedback on our design, looked at the constraints we have. He understands what we have to deal with the soils and the utilities out there. He did like that we're creating a box culvert that mimics the bed of the stream now. The inlet and outlet is going to match what the stream elevations are currently. He talked to us about possibly using a arched metal pipe, basically an oval pipe, which would give us more width in a shorter height. But again, we talked about the fact that we'd be back here again in 25 years, replacing.
That's galvanized also, right?
Excuse me?
That would be galvanized, the oval pipe?
Right,
Yeah.
right. which is what is in there.
Is there now, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
which, lasted between 25 and 30 years. So, we'd be back here again, whereas if we put a concrete structure in there, it's going to last a very long time. He liked the overall proposal. He says, basically it's an improvement over what's there now, and because of the constraints, it's almost the best, it's the best we can do based on what's there without, extraneous costs of either rebuilding a pump station or constructing a bridge.
You also got a gas line going over it too, right, you said?
Yeah, there's a gas line over the
So
top.
that
which
has to
is-
be nice and stable.
Yes, yeah, so we need, it's a delicate and sensitive area to be working in.
Yeah.
We've received a review letter from the commission's peer consultant, Bill Manuel. He kind of talked about a few things. One was dewatering. In our revised information, we left dewatering mainly up to the contractor. In order to successfully bid this project, we need to give the contractor some latitude in how he's going to dewater. Bill did recommend that it be reviewed by either the conservation agent or, other town staff, or I would even say if the commission wanted to review it, but we won't have a dewatering plan until we have a contractor on board. We won't have a contractor on board until we have our permits in place. So, it's some time out before we can actually finalize a dewatering plan. Another thing that Bill talked about, and it was also mentioned in the DEP review letter, was compensatory flood storage. We have, with the extreme amount of work we're doing out here, we're filling 4 cubic yards of floodplain. And, ideally we won't fill any. I sat down today and spoke with our design consultant and looked through the plans, and I feel that I found some areas where we can provide that compensatory storage, which would be in the wetland replication areas, which also, addresses one of Bill's concerns where we weren't showing enough grading and pocketing of the wetland replication areas, so that there'll be successful replication areas, so that the water will flow into them, the water will sit there, it'll pool, it'll generate the habitat needed for the plants and the ecology that needs to be.
The current fill is for mostly stabilization around the area there to keep all the erosion from happening?
The current fill is mainly associated with the concrete head walls.
Right.
For the pipe.
Okay,
Yeah. So we're filling in because we have to construct these large head walls to hold back the road. So we're filling the flood storage area. And so
Yeah.
we plan on making some minor modifications to the wetland replication areas to provide that compensatory storage.
So we'll just make a note that compensatory storage, flood storage should be built in the replication areas.
Yeah.
And as for the dewatering plan, I guess just an inspection by the conservation agent before, after it's set up, I guess, if you will, right? Just sort of like the dewatering plan, they're gonna come along, they're gonna come up with a plan, something, start constructing it, whatever, set it up, and finally you can look at it, right?
Great.
Yep, sounds reasonable to me. All right. Mr. Holland? Yeah.
No, I'm good. It's the public good. You said that the sewer was running under the culvert?
Yes.
So are they going to replace that sewer line at all, so you don't have to dig up the culvert again to replace the sewer line?
No, so the sewer line is a PVC line,
Okay.
which, should have a 100-year lifespan. to
Okay.
that. We'll probably be replacing the culvert again before the sewer line.
Yeah, I'm
And
thinking-
Even at that, sorry to interrupt you, but even at that, there's techniques that we can use now to line that sewer.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't have to go and dig it up to replace that sewer. They can do what's called cast-in-place pipe,
Right.
where they line it. And it has this, once it's cured, it has the same strength as the original host pipe itself.
Okay.
We are going to take the water line, and because that's on top of the pipe, we're not gonna have enough cover once we put the larger structure in. We're gonna be putting that under the new pipe. That's going to be, it's an 8-inch line, it's gonna be in a 12-inch sleeve, and we're actually gonna provide a second 12-inch sleeve next to that, in case in the future we have to repair or replace that line, that we'll be able to just run a new line without having to dig up the culvert.
Yeah, that'd be smart.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's, short money once you have the road open.
Well, that's right, yeah. I mean, while you're there doing it, you might as well do it correctly.
Exactly.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right,
Thank you.
sounds good. Mr. Sheehan?
Good, good presentation.
Public hearing, anyone to be heard on the matter? Yep, so I think we're all set. If
Great.
ready to close the public hearing, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Close public hearing.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And as for the notice of intent, seek approve the notice of intent, standard order of conditions with 2 conditions, special conditions that the dewatering plan should meet after the contractor has created his dewatering plan. It should be submitted to the conservation agent, and after it's set up, it should be reviewed prior to construction. You're saying the pre-construction meeting you want to?
That's what Bill's recommendation, just before.
Just the dewatering plan before the
That's
pre-construction.
important.
Yes.
Right.
And obviously,
And obviously, we're going to be watching the whole thing as it's working, so.
yeah, and, Ms. Gallo has, been
Right.
part of this process, and
Sure.
we try to keep her in
Yep.
constant communication of what's going on.
And the second order is that the replication plan will include compensatory flood storage. And I think that's it. Can I get a motion to that?
That's Sage.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Good evening.
Have a good one.
Next item on the agenda is notice of intent, Stephen and Eric Murphy, 58 Sandalwood Circle, map 44, lot 157, DEP 3051085.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering and Surveying. I here on behalf of Stephen and Erica Murphy, who are also here this evening. We're here for a notice of intent filing for 58 Sandalwood Circle. And I have a colored plan here which I think better identifies the wetland area, which is located here, which was delineated by Norse Environmental. Right now, there's a, you'll see there's a 6-foot stockade fence here that extends here, so this whole area here is a developed portion of the property. We have the 25-foot no disturbance from that wetland, the 50-foot no build, and the 100-foot buffer here. So the, right now, there's a driveway here that ends here to this existing dwelling, and there's a pool located here. There's a small pool house. There's a shed. There's an existing 85-foot tall pine that we're going to talk about in a minute, which is located here. And right here, there's a sprinkler pump, which is located here. What we're proposing is to propose a 30 by 40 garage, which is shown in brown, and then to extend the pavement here in order to access that garage. Now, this is a garage primarily to, so Stephen Murphy restores cars. It's a personal hobby. So he needs this extra space to do his work on his vehicles here. So you'll notice that this drive here is pretty narrow when it gets down towards the end. But we wanted to ensure that we were not proposing any work in the 25-foot no disturb zone. So we were pulling this all back so we were not within that, even though the fence line here is already in that 25-foot no disturb, we wanted to make sure that these proposed improvements were outside of it. The drainage, the additional drainage for this driveway is going to get captured, and we have a cross section here. So we're proposing to do a 1.5 by 18-inch infiltration trench here, which will take the drainage runoff from the driveway. And we're also showing that there'll be some weep holes in order for it to purge out of the infiltration trench. And there'll be a very small wall that'll be located there to make sure that the drive and the infiltration drainage won't be in that 25-foot no disturb. We're proposing to have straw wattle put around here. And one of the requirements is for a building code that the buildings have to be 10 feet apart, away from each other. So that's why this building is 11 feet from the existing dwelling. Part of this is that we're going to do a patio area to transition from the house to the garage and the pool area. One thing that came up from the original submission that we made, the Murphys realized they have this precariously large pine tree that's located here, and it's looking like it's getting so tall it just looks like it's gonna fall at some point. So we're gonna be proposing to remove that tree.
All right. I like it.
Great.
I
That's what we
really
like.
do. I do. I have no issues. Mr. Holland?
I have none.
Good.
Quite an addition.
Yeah, no, it looks beautiful. Public hearing, anyone to be heard? Seeing no one rising, seeing no concerns from the board, get a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And as for the notice of intent, get a motion to approve with the standard order of conditions, referencing the plan dated 6/19/2019.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All set, thank you. Thank you, good luck. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing request for the determination of applicability, Sabrina Gillis, 279 Assel Street, map 10, lot 13. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just quick, introduce yourself for the record.
I'm representing Sabrina Gillis, my wife Krista Gillis, and I reside as well at 279 Astor Street. We are proposing to remove invasive species of Japanese monarchweed, which lines our property and has slowly been taking over our yard. I have some pictures to send down. In the proposal, I do have some information about the Japanese monarchweed. It's a very invasive species. and it's not even guaranteed as what we're gonna do, if it's gonna completely remove it. But it is slowly creeping within our property, taking over our shed. We have the driveway, it's become a safety concern, getting in my driveway, out of my driveway.
Right.
And so our proposal is just to be able to remove it, and take it, the landscaper is gonna take it somewhere else to be disposed of. If not, it will just continue to grow. We've tried to keep up with it, we've tried pesticides, we've tried pulling them, we've tried hand digging them up, and the more we do it, the worse it gets.
Wow. All right,
There
so,
was a stone wall in there. When we first moved in, we could see the stone wall. Now it's nowhere to be seen.
well, good luck to you, and I have no issues with this application. You gonna do roundup of them, or how you gonna you just pulling them out?
No, they're
You're
gonna bring an excavator. to
excavate and just
it
dig up the
because
roots
if
and
you
everything?
don't, if it is information you put down that says if you
That's
don't get
crazy.
the root system, you can't kill it.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Anyways, Mr. Holland, do you have any
I
concerns?
have no issues.
Mr. Ippolito?
Tony, any issues?
No such.
I'm good.
All set, Anthony? Yeah. All right, well, again, good luck to you.
Thank you.
But anyways, as we have no concerns, there's a public hearing, anyone be heard on the matter, seeing none. So can I get a motion to close the public
Motion to
hearing?
close public hearing.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And as for the request, can I get a motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. You're all
So that means
set.
we're all set.
Yeah, well, right, like, need something with our signatures, but you're all-
I will get you the determination once it's prepped and signed. It might be a few weeks, but I'll call and let you know when it's ready.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Do you want your paperwork back? The pictures and, yeah,
I got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance, Brian and Joanna Abbadesano, 15 Oxford Road, map 69, lot 154, DEP 3051038. Request for certificate of compliance, see, no concerns. Any concerns from any of the members? Seeing no concerns, can I get and this is a full, all right. Can I get a motion to grant a certificate of compliance for the project?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is an enforcement order ratification for Ray Vibert, 21 Sandy Lane, map 94, lot 304.
Don't wake the baby.
No babysitter.
So bring me up to date, what are we trying to do here?
All right, so I bought a metal structure that is a garage that I was gonna keep up temporarily. I wasn't planning on making a foundation or anything, because when I moved, I wanted to take it down. And I didn't realize I needed a permit for it, so that's my fault, and I apologize.
Right.
But I went ahead and I got the wetlands flagged, the plot plan done, so I actually passed
And you're
it on.
saying this is a temporary structure?
Well, I mean, it was, to me, it's temporary because I can take it down. That's why I wasn't doing
Right.
anything out of wood or like concrete.
Right.
It just looks ridiculous next to the house, that's why, I mean, you'll see it on the plans, but
Okay.
it's just, I didn't want to leave it there forever. That was my main
Sure.
concern when I, sell the property or something.
Yeah.
But it's mainly to just keep, my vehicles off of the street because my driveway's not that big. And like we park across the street along a fence, but it's just, emergency vehicles or anything need to come down. It's a tight street, so.
Okay. Well, you had the wetlands flag, that's good.
Yes.
We're outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone, which is even better. And then we have a portion of it in the no-build zone, but we do have certain criteria that if it's met, would allow that to happen. Just, what do we say, 10%? Yeah, it looks, I don't see any issues.
Neither do I.
Anyone see any issues with that? It's pretty, yeah.
I guess my only question would be is, if I was to pull it, so they have it proposed on there and where the building currently is, and
Yeah.
I thought my lot line was like 5 feet further than it is, so I put it to the back of that, which is obviously not, so I have to pull it forward a little bit regardless to be completely on my property. But do I need to push it all the way to the house like they proposed, or do you think I could go ahead and file to get it just a little bit further forward, but still to the back of my property?
So you're not putting any sonotubing, nothing like,
I wasn't planning on it, but I have to do a slab and stuff because it's obviously not.
oh, so they're making you put in a
I have to go
slab?
through the whole thing.
Okay,
So that's why I'm like trying to, I just need guidance. I really don't
Yep.
know where I can actually place that thing to be proper.
well, you don't want it right up, do you want it right up against your house?
No, but I
Right.
mean, I'm gonna do what I need to do to make it necessary, like, meet the necessary requirements.
So where is your lot line in this picture?
So we should comment that we own this house and the one next door. So we,
I'll show you. So, right, so this is the lot line. I thought it was back here where I had the shed structure. So they're proposing to move it forward to the, obviously the dotted line right there.
Is this the builder or is this the building inspector?
So I just asked the guy that did the block plan to make it up to code, like with the setbacks and stuff, and he's like, that's the only way I see you can do it unless they allowed you to keep it to the, back, closer to the back of the lot line.
I don't have a problem with the back of the lot line. I don't know if the building inspector will have a problem with it.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, if you do need to move it to satisfy any sort of building code, as long as it's not going any closer to the no disturb line, I'm fine, I'm personally fine with it the way that it stands right now. But if you need to move it, well,
Yeah, I'll do whatever I have to do.
you do what you need to do as long as it's not getting any closer. I have no issues where it is right now, just no closer and, move it to where you need to move it,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah, no, I'll do
Yeah.
whatever you guys need, so.
No,
I just
no.
wanted to make sure I could go through with the whole permitting process
Yep,
before.
you have no issues with me, and I don't see any issues from other members of the commission, so I think we're all set here. So we have what do we have here? Enforcement order? We could just keep it as,
As is, it just says to come to the meeting, so it needs to be amended.
right, so, do we need to ratify? Yep, so we'll ratify it, and we'll basically, you think that you'll be done by, the end of September?
we're gonna have to go to the Board of Appeals, it looks like, because of that lot line, because the rear setback,
So, yeah, that was.
does not exist, so we would have to go to the Board of Appeals first, so however long that.
End of November?
Hoping, it'd be nice to be done before winter, yes.
It would be, but I mean, it is.
Well, I mean, it's basically, we just need it to be like done, in order for us to bring your property back into compliance so that we can basically, sort of like lift it. Basically, you're bringing your property back into compliance, so, most likely that'll be when the construction's complete. We can just take a quick look, looks great,
Okay.
boom, property in compliance. But it's up to you how much you want to hang in limbo. We can just say, hey, come back in September, and if it's done, it's done. If not, we'll just continue it to January, whatever you guys want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What are you having them do? Are you going to have them come back and get a permit?
Well, they're going to have to get a permit, all right?
So-
So do we want to have them file a
You
notice
should
of
condition what you want them to come back for and give them a date for when they need to file for that.
Okay. All right, so,
So you would amend the enforcement order.
do you want to do a request for a notice of intent, or just a request for a determination of applicability, or,
It's up to you.
yeah. But you need something from us before they can begin construction, right? We can't just tell them, go ahead on an enforcement order.
It's the commission's decision what they want to do
Right.
with this.
Yeah, so if we basically can, all right, why don't we just like, what do you think, Anthony?
You're right on it. I would move forward with it, yeah.
Right. Okay. So you have to like, so you don't think you're gonna be starting by August 14th, construction or anything like that, right?
I mean, I can start as soon as I get the okay, I guess, to
Yeah, I don't know when
go
the next
forward,
Board of
yeah.
Appeals meeting is.
Right.
So we'd have to work that out with them.
Okay.
And put the zoning permit in.
Yeah,
All right.
I've never been through this enforcement order thing, so I just don't know
All
how
right.
it works, I don't know the steps I need to take, so that's.
So, an RDA request or no, we could actually have you file an RDA or a notice of intent for the August 14th meeting and just give you an order that's just good for it. So why don't we say that? Apply for, talk with Stefania, see if it exceeds any of her thresholds for a notice of intent. If not, do an art request for determination of applicability. So I'm going to say, I would say amend the order of conditions to either an RDA or a notice of intent.
I think it would make sense if the commission as a group decided, do you want an RDA or a notice of intent?
What do you think?
Because you have the
I
plan.
think a notice of intent would be,
Notice of intent?
yeah.
Okay. All right, notice of intent. So apply for a notice of intent quickly, and then we'll schedule it for the August 14th meeting. And then at that time, we'll bring the property, we'll grant the order conditions, and then bring your property into compliance. Yeah. All right?
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so can I get a motion to, well, ratify the order?
Good. Oh,
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And motion to amend the order of conditions to submit a notice of intent to be approved at our August 14th meeting. At such time, we will bring the does the property come into compliance after construction or just when they get the order of conditions?
So if the enforcement order is being amended to say apply for a notice of intent for the August 14th meeting, then if they apply, technically they're
In compliance.
complying with the enforcement order.
Without, all right. Sounds good, right? All right, so to amend the order, they'll apply for a notice of intent. Once the notice of intent is approved and order conditions met, we will bring the property into compliance. So, and lift the enforcement order.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Good luck.
Baby never stops crying.
That's a great baby.
Yeah, really.
Yes, we get it.
All right. And where are we? We have a request for non-substantial change, New England Power Company and Massachusetts Electric Company, Old Boston Road, DEP 3051049. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
All right, can you just introduce yourself for the record, and what are we talking here?
Sure. My name's Kevin Constance from DHB, who represents National Grid.
Yep.
And my manager is the one who technically signed this request, Tim Sullivan. But essentially, it's a request for a change to the Old Boston Road substation project. And it's essentially to install a telecom conduit, dig a small trench from the substation to an existing utility pole, and it is located within the 50-foot no-build zone and 100-foot buffer zone. If you see on the figure attached to the note or the request,
Yep.
that the conduit would run to pole 48-4, and from there it transfers to overhead and would stretch across the railroad tracks to 49-3, which is north of it, and then further into the Old Boston Road substation. And as far as the project, it's expected to be about 30 inches in depth. It's going to be a 3-foot wide trench containing 2 4-inch PVC pipes to.
Can you talk in the
telecom.
mic?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
And the entire trench is expected to be about 110 feet long. As mentioned in the last paragraph on the first page, best management practices you can incorporate, including installing erosion controls. Dewatering is anticipated, but if so, that will be conducted within the erosion controls. It can be conducted outside the 100-foot buffer zone, and eventually it's National Grid has been using, the contractors on site are using a sort of silt sack or dewatering basin to do that if it is water is encountered. And all impacts within the 50-foot and 100-foot are expected temporary. It'll be backfilled with existing soil and restored and stabilized with loam seed and straw after construction.
Sounds good. Non-substantial. Is that what we're looking for? Yeah. Mr. Holland?
I have no questions.
I'm good.
Mr. Ippolito?
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that we can make a motion that this is a non-substantial change. What do you think? So moved?
Yeah.
Second?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. You're all set.
All set to.
I
Yeah.
think you're all, yeah, you're all set. Just
Do you want a letter from me or anything?
I don't think I need one,
Okay.
to be honest,
Okay.
if that's okay.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Alright.
yeah, I just need to coordinate with the crews on site.
Okay.
Should be
Yeah.
perfect.
All right, great, thank you so much. All right. Next item on the agenda is an enforcement order update. Dircello Beluco, 170 Bradford Road, map 111, lot 57. Inspect notes, July 9th. I didn't see it. So what's going on?
So I brought this to the commission at the last meeting to give an update, and it was continued because the commission wanted me to go back out and continue it to this meeting. So I went back out, and the site looks the same as it did when I was out there last, so.
All right, so the fill is about 70 feet from the BBW, but is it floodplain?
So if you
It's
Go look- if you look
potentially
back,
riverfront. Okay.
there is a letter that was prepared from a wetland consultant
All right,
that says, in their opinion, it looks as though the fill has been removed from the buffer zone and the floodplain. So it seems to them that everything in the enforcement order has been done.
right. Okay, so,
The homeowner is waiting for the commission to determine if they have removed enough fill before they start to stabilize. So that's why there's still dirt out there.
What is your opinion on that?
I mean, my opinion is the commission had them have a wetland consultant go out there and make a determination on if they complied with the enforcement order, and they did that, and the consultant made that determination.
yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah, this looks reasonable. I mean, it's pretty far away. It looks like doesn't look like, I mean, if you sort of look at the grade in the pictures, it sort of like looks on level with the grade towards the river. Yeah, so I think we should amend the enforcement order to just say stabilize the area or something like that, and to, we don't need to have them do like growth plans, do we? Like, one of those, like, wait till next fall to see that the vegetation is grown back,
No, he's just going to seed it with grass.
right?
So,
But he's not bringing any more fill in, right?
no.
He's going to seed over the rocks and stuff.
So I guess like just maybe can amend the enforcement order, say that they should stabilize the area with loam and seed, and we'll look at the end of October to look at, make sure that the area has stabilized and the seed is growing and vegetation is coming back, and at that time we can make a motion to either continue it again or to bring the property into compliance. What do people think? Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, motion to that effect?
Motion to see.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. And another enforcement order update. Jefferson and Dixie Anjo, 148 Whittemore Street, map 101, lot 42. Restoration and to revegetate, how's it doing?
So I was out there this week, and you can see in the pictures that I provided that there is a lot of vegetation that has grown. It looks like he did plant some plants out there. It's hard to tell at this point what's plantings and not. It's very, there's just a lot of vegetation out there.
Looks real stable and all that?
Yeah, it's definitely stable. So.
And we don't have, yep, so stability, we don't have things eroding into the wetlands, got a nice buffer, and, right? So this is ideally in compliance, possibly.
Did they the demarcation lines in there somewhere, or
So
Or is it the
there's a
fence?
fence up now, so
the fence is it then?
there should be no more encroachment, but
What say you?
No, no, just,
Is the property in
No
compliance?
comments, everything's been completed.
Yeah.
According to Stefania's.
Machine, property in compliance. All right, can I get a motion to that effect? Property
Motion
is
stated.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And last item on the agenda is a Wetland Protection Fund request for the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissioners annual dues for fiscal year 2020. Motion 742. Can I get a motion to allocate $742 from the Wetland Protection Fund to pay for the MAC annual dues?
Motion, okay.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. That's the end of our agenda. Does the administrator have anything?
yes. I do. So, I have a complaint that I've been dealing with for a while now, since I think 2018. I can bring the commission up to speed on it. Let me see. Give you pictures so you can see where I'm talking about. So I can just give kind of a summary. So in the fall of 2018, I received a complaint of ongoing dumping of yard waste at 16 Kenneth Lane into a stream, causing flooding on a property on Shawsheen Street. And I did an inspection at that time, and it was definitely clear that the area has been a place for historic dumping of yard waste, trash. There was just a lot of stuff in there. The new homeowners, who had only been there for a short amount of time, had said they did dispose some of the leaves there, but most of the stuff was there when they moved in. And they were sent a violation letter. And I did give them some information on yard waste and wetlands. And then while I was out there, I noticed that there was nowhere for the water to flow regardless of the yard waste. So as you can see in the picture, the house at the end of the street is built in the middle of those two wetland areas. So there's really nowhere for the water to go.
What are you talking about, 26?
Yes. So this is the area of dumping.
Yeah,
And this is the flow.
right.
But this is a backyard now. There's no flow from here to here. So I also sent letters to all the abutters just to give them information on the wetlands, yard waste, and why you shouldn't dump there. And then I spoke to Central Mass Mosquito Control about the situation, and they went out and they scheduled work to clear out that stream as part of a mosquito control project and try to restore flow. So then in June 2019, I received another complaint in regards to the dumping. So I spoke with the homeowners again at 16 Kenneth Lane. They said they had started bagging their waste and putting it in their garden instead. And I scheduled another inspection, did a follow-up. So I did not see any new leaves. I did see that there were branches piled next to the fence in the back of the property. The homeowner said the branches that fell into the yard, and they just threw them back over the fence. So I asked if they would remove the branches, and they said they do not feel comfortable as there's a dispute with the neighbor about property lines, and they do not want to go back there. So I also followed up with Mass Mosquito, and they stated that they canceled the work to clear the stream because there's no culvert that would connect the smaller wetland to the larger wetland in the back of 26 Kenneth Lane. So there's really no work for them to do out there since it's,
Okay, so
not a
it's
stream.
lot 26 where there should be a culvert and there is no drainage. It's like, is that recently?
Historically, I think there was a stream from here to here.
Yeah, so when did that channel
house-
disappear?
This house was built a while ago,
All right,
and I think that's when it disappeared, because even if you're out there, there's no wetland back here anymore. So I think it was gone as part of the construction of the house.
I would just basically say, as property owners that are trying to, number one, the people at 26 could potentially be sued by the other people saying, hey, we need to go into the wetlands through you, if in fact that's what's supposed to happen. We're just making an assumption that it's supposed to flow through there to that other wetland area. If it's been like this, now all of a sudden, it doesn't appear that, I'm stumped of why it's all of a sudden an issue now.
So I think the biggest issue is the complaints of the dumping. And
Now, was it just this one person at 16 dumping it?
that's what I hear, but I don't know for sure. When you go back there, it looks like the area had been dumped in for forever. So I think that's the big issue, is that the complaints I'm receiving, and I've spoke with the homeowners. Now they understand, don't throw the branches over the fence either.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point, I don't know if I would give an enforcement order, because are the branches really altering the wetland? I don't
Well, I would say that, I would, personally, it's like almost a civil dispute. If the guy wants to avoid a civil dispute with his neighbor and be a good neighbor, he can certainly come in, we'll give him an RDA to do any kind of work in that resource area to clear out what's there now, and just to give him, advice of, if you want to stockpile and compost your yard waste, you have to do it in a way that's not going to impact the wetland. You know, so it's more of an educational issue on his part. We'll certainly, you know, he should come in with an RDA and we'll give him the permit to do the appropriate work, but it's like it's a civil dispute right now. It's, you know, they want to go through a long litigation or whatever, or he can just be a good neighbor now, right?
Right, and I think they understand now that, I mean, I've educated them a lot.
Right,
So
right.
I just think that this is something I'm going to continue to get the complaints. And I just don't, I mean, I don't know if there's anything that I can do, so.
Yep. Well, complaints from either one of them, just refer them to town council. That is a civil matter right now that, but it is, we can certainly do an enforcement order for them to clear up the land, but you know, I think do you want an enforcement order to tell them to clean up the wetland resource area that they've dumped yard waste into?
I think that's up to the commission, what they want to do.
Well, you know, I would refer it to town council myself, because this is not the first time we've gone through neighbors litigating, arguing with each other.
Right.
And I'm going to call this on you, I'm going to call the Board of Health on you, I'm going to call the selectmen on you. So I would get his advice. And is it determined, is it wetland?
Yeah.
It is wetland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's filling wetland, and we don't allow wetland filling in
Right.
Tewksbury.
So, like I said, I would get advice from town council, and if need be, we can do an enforcement order.
Yeah.
But he might,
You might, I
He
mean,
might
if they
go
just
clean it
ring
up.
him up, if they
Right.
just ring him up at 16, the town lawyer gives him a ring and just says, hey, you know, clean up, you know, do this and, or else.
right, you know,
But yeah, I'll give him an option to just
Yeah.
just tell him, clean it up now.
The problem is they won't, because there's issues with the property lines. So
Issues with the property
the,
lines.
the other neighbor says that they are trespassing. So now they don't want they don't want to go near that area because.
so that gets down to the point where.
Okay. All right, so, all right. If they continue to dump yard waste into the other person's yard, then yeah, it's a civil, yeah, this is like one of those civil disputes. We
Right.
run into them all
And-
the time.
And like
It's
I said, I would talk to town council, because if you don't know.
Yeah, don't use the Conservation Commission
Right,
as an
as a-
enforcement agency.
Correct.
Yeah. We're not here to.
But they're going to have to go out and determine what the lot line is.
Yeah.
You know, because then you're going to be sitting there and saying, well, he's trespassing on my land, but it's actually his land, you know what I mean? And again, I don't want to get into being judge and jury.
Yeah, but we're also told, hey, there's property line dispute, whether there is or there isn't. Now we don't know who to actually throw the enforcement order on.
That's right, yeah, so you're kind of in
On the
a,
property owner on the
Right.
enforcement order. So, right, I don't know if we need to necessarily get town council's advice, but,
No.
you know, I think this is just a civil matter at this point. We can't, we don't know who to throw the enforcement order on to, and it's a civil dispute because they're potentially creating an encumbrance on the other
Encroachment.
person's property, one of those fancy
Encroachment.
encroachment.
and if you don't know what the property lines are, I mean, unless you throw the enforcement order on both of them,
Yeah.
you know? Does it go in anywhere near both properties?
From what I can see, it's here. It's in the circled area.
Right.
But to access that area, that's.
Who's getting
where the-
flooded?
This one.
494?
Yeah. I mean, when I was out there a few weeks ago, the whole area was dry, so.
So who's the dispute between 16 and 26 or 10?
16 Kenneth Lane and 494 Shawsham Street. This goes back to previous homeowners too, so this has been,
Yeah.
this has been going on since before I started here.
Yeah, again, we're not a jury here. We're not the arbitrator.
You have any suspicions who it is?
Yes. So I've spoken to the people, I've been out there.
Issue a letter of violation.
They have, I've given them a violation letter.
Oh, next thing is if they're not compliant, bring them in. Bring
So
'em in.
there's no more leaves being dumped. That's,
the
it's
feet to the
now, it
fire.
was just branches over the fence.
If you got the suspicion who it is, just bring them in, get them before, and then the
Say
matter
branch.
goes into council's hands.
Branches over the fence?
Yeah.
Just cut them.
No, the branches fell into their yard, so they threw them over the fence.
Oh, okay.
Again, this is, like as Steve said, this is a civil matter between the parties. I feel
I have a
uncomfortable.
neighbor that blows the leaves across the street because they were her leaves.
Is there more than one person that's dumping?
Potentially.
The other thing to see is town council issue according to account, who you think it is, and just give it to them. That's it. Put them on notification.
But if there's a boundary dispute,
Yeah.
we need to know what the boundaries are.
Town has the right to do that. Has the right to do that. You're infringing on the area. Why not? That's a violation, period. End of the story.
Okay, so we have one person saying that they're dumping into my wetland, and they shouldn't be dumping into my property. And then we have another person saying, well, I stopped dumping onto their property, but it's really my property. But do we make them clean it up? That's the big thing. Do we make them clean it up? He stopped dumping? And if he continues to dump, I say sue him, but that's weird.
Well, like I said, I think you should just get advice 5 minutes out of town council and just say, this is the situation. If we don't know what the borders, the property lines are, we can't make a determination of who's actually dumping the stuff.
Right. And so at that point, is it just a civil matter
Well,
between them?
it becomes a civil matter and also becomes where she can get a letter from the town saying, okay, if you're going to be dumping this stuff here continuously, you're going to, both properties, or all four of them, whoever's, bring them all in,
That's it.
yeah?
Put the feet to the fire. That's
And
what
make
you're
them all
dealing with.
get
Yeah.
their lots surveyed and stuff like that. Now, that's going to be an expense to them that they're not going to want, but, I mean, if we don't know what the true lot lines are, I'm not going to argue with them about that.
All right. So, let's just say, let's get advice from town council of whether we should just tell them when they complain that our town council is advised it's a civil matter to be worked out between the two of you. And hopefully that's what town council will say. Otherwise, town council will say to us, okay, well, whatever he says, we'll do.
He might turn around and say, issue an enforcement order.
He might say that
Yeah.
to both of them.
Right.
So there you go. We'll just ask town council for his advice.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Just make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Stefano. Is that it?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn?
Close.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion
Come on,
carries.
Tom.
Thank you very much.